Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Richard and welcome back to the weekly watches video sponsored by MarketSmith. As always, we're going to run through my focus list for this upcoming trading week. And just first things first, I want to briefly touch on the overall health of the market. We had a potential expectation breaker here on Thursday. If you want the full details of my view on the markets, you can check out my stock market outlook video, which will be linked below. But potentially we're in another tradable rally like we saw back in this area. And this area, although we remain below a declining longer term moving average. So with that said, with that overall perspective, let's cover the stocks on my watch list. So overall, there's 15. These are kind of a mixed bag of stocks that are set up as well as ones that are just worth watching that are very strong and potentially a little bit extended. And just in general, we saw a lot of stocks really push hard Thursday and Friday and move through buy points and potentially are a little bit too stretched to buy safely while managing risk. But if we do kind of consolidate for a few days, pull back, I think a lot of these could set up some beautiful charts. So with that said, let's go ahead and start with LTHM. And let's go ahead and actually click that and take a look at that chart. So this is a choppy mover, but it's right near all-time highs. We had an attempted push up and breakout here on Friday. We failed that and basically closed right near the lows. But what I'd love to see is some sideways action for it to hold up here and just kind of base out and form a handle below these all-time highs. Nice push up here, and it's above all the moving averages. And you can see the numbers are very, very strong. You can see this year the estimates are plus 661%, and in 2023 they're supposed to add 31% to that. So definitely a strong fundamental name, but you know the chart is a little bit choppy, so we have to wait for that tightness, that contraction, where we can manage risk against the swing low as it pushes out very easily. Moving on, we've got a solar name here, which had earnings. You can see very strong numbers here. Earnings surprise of plus 100%. That's significant. That's what you want to pay attention to. And overall, you can see fantastic estimates for this year and the next, plus 185% in 2023. These are game-changing numbers. So if the chart cooperates and the overall group stays strong, I'll definitely be focused on this name. Right now, it's potentially a little bit short-term extended. I'd love to see a nice kind of orderly consolidation, maybe a little bit of a shakeout here as well, and then a push up towards the top of this base under 24, where you can manage risk versus a swing low and catch on for the ride. Looking at the weekly, you can see it's within this longer term institutional due diligence phase. 24 is a key number, as well as here around 27, 28, and then ideally it pushes through and challenges these previous highs. But really strong numbers here and forming higher lows as the market was forming lower lows. Moving on, we've got ANET forming a short-term flag here below 132.87. I just want to see a push up here on volume. You can manage risk right at that low of the day or the previous day's low as well. And I definitely want to see a push through on volume. You've got decent earnings, sales, and margins, and good estimates as well for 2022 and 2023. And we are in a leading group as of this moment. Moving on, we've got Vertex, and this has been a steady gainer all year. Obviously, this kind of area of the market has been holding up a lot better than most. And this is kind of one of those kind of institutional quality names where it's a slower mover, but also can definitely make some nice trends as well. So basically here we had earnings, very volatile, and then we had a big shakeout on Friday, closing pretty well, holding above 300. So I basically want to see some tightness and then fall through to the upside, managing risk at this swing low. Earnings, the most recent quarter, aren't great. Margins are super strong, but you've just got kind of steady earnings growth anticipated in 2022 and 2023. In this same kind of space here, we've got HRMY, Harmony Biosciences, forming a nice flag here. I want to see it push through these highs on volume, managing risk either at that low of the day or this previous day right here, and let that 21 EMA kind of catch up to your cost. And looking at the weekly, you can see we're right at all-time highs, as the market is well off those highs as well. So that is HRMY. Moving on, we've got RPRX, which had a nice day on Friday here, closing right at the highs, even though it was red. I'd love to see maybe one more inside day, or even if it goes, Monday, it's potentially actionable through these previous highs. And look at the weekly, you can see that this is a very key level where we're at right now. So I definitely want to see volume come in and have a big blue spike on the weekly. You can see earnings. Surprise was negative, but the percent change was pretty good. And so far, price action is acting pretty well. This definitely is once again, a choppier mover, so keep that in mind. Yeah, not the most, favorable setup on this list, but still worth watching, in my opinion, because this space has been the space to look for opportunities this year. Wingstop, a recent earnings gapper. It had another gap up here on Thursday. I'd love to see, a little bit of a short-term flag here form, and then you could buy the reconfirmation here, managing risk at this low right here. But looking at a weekly, you can see basically this started a stage 2 uptrend, breaking out on huge volume, and now we're just continuing to consolidate as the market is just pushing off these lows, and we continue to trend above those moving averages. Next up, we've got Dexcom. Very similar to Wingstop in terms of the overall pattern. We had a nice gap up on earnings. Let's take a look at the surprise here, plus 16%, not huge, but definitely a positive. And now just kind of forming out a flag. I'd love to see it kind of recover from this downside reversal, hold near these lows at least, and just kind of go sideways and then eventually push through this level on volume. But I love this move up on large volume. And taking a look at the weekly, you can see we broke through the short-term base on a pickup in volume. So that is Dexcom, AHR, another name that maybe isn't actionable right now. It's a little bit short-term extended. It's far from that 21 EMA, but if it does consolidate, pull back, and let that 21 EMA kind of catch up to price, I'll definitely be watching this for an entry point. And looking at that weekly, you can see we're close to all-time highs, not quite there yet. Maybe we could expect some turbulence near this area, and I'd love to see, a tight week and then an inside week and up setup. That would be ideal. Look at that relative strength off the bottom here, and also really strong numbers from this name. Looking at those estimates, really great for 2023, 2024, and fantastic quarterly numbers as well. MedPace, another one that is a recent earnings gap up. You got a little bit ahead of itself, so I'd love to see kind of base out in this area, form out a nice pivot, and then push through on volume and continue to this move upwards. Decent quarterly numbers and estimates as well. PI, another recent earnings gapper that's forming a little bit of a flag here. We had this gap up, so I'd love to see it consolidate for a few days, kind of let those natural sellers, get rid of their shares, and then we can potentially continue through this level on volume. I like the volume characteristics within this formation here, and really strong numbers, both in terms of earnings, sales, as well as fund ownership. Moving on, we've got ON, another semiconductor, and this group in general has been very strong. Off the bottom, this is definitely short-term extended, but I'd love to see a pullback, let that 21 EMA catch up to price a little bit, and then a push through on volume, breaking out into new all-time highs. If we go to a weekly, you can see how powerful this bar is. It wasn't above average volume, which is definitely a negative, but the price action itself, finishing right near the highs, definitely to me screams power. So I'd love to see, maybe an inside week, maybe another inside week, or just consolidation, and then a continuation into all-time highs through these levels. Let's take a look at this high. That's at 76.78. Moving on, we've got GFS, which is also within that institutional due diligence phase. Really strong week. Take a look at that volume. Super strong action, finishing right at the highs. So I'd love to see a consolidation week and then a push through here. And going to a daily chart, you can see I'd love to see, just a flag out here, maybe a shakeout as well, and then you can manage risk right at this swing low as it breaks through there above the 65.96 pivot. So that's pretty much it for my list. Actually, we've got two other solar names here. ENPH, you can see downside reversal here on Friday. But basically, we just want to see it stick out, kind of form out a potential higher low setup and manage risk right at that swing low. ARI looks a little bit better, but this is still a name to watch because of the prior strength. And you have really nice growth numbers here and great estimates as well from ENPH. FSLR is kind of the leader within the group, but it's maybe a little bit short-term extended, forming out some type of flag here. I'd love to see this last, a few weeks. Let that 21 EMA kind of catch up to price and then reconfirm to the upside on a pickup in volume, and that would be ideal. So with that, that actually is the end of my list. Let me know your thoughts on these names. Maybe from this list, give me your top one or two, as well as mention any other stocks worth mentioning down below in the comment sections that I missed. I'll try to basically give my take on any that are mentioned. So thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please go ahead and leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.